Donald Trump has multiple lawsuits going on around the country challenging the results of various state counts. Well, if you ask him, he says they're not his lawsuits, they're other people's lawsuits, even though they're his and they're tied to his campaign. It's weird, I don't know what it means, but I do know what some of the developments mean, and they're not good news for the president. 3 attorneys representing President Trump's campaign withdrew from a lawsuit challenging the election results in Pennsylvania just yesterday. The motion came the evening before a hearing scheduled in the case, which was filed 1 week ago. So, like, the judge has to actually allow it for them to pull out, especially like the day before a hearing. But imagine that you file, and then 1 week later, you're just like, let me out of here. I have got to go. Because why? We've seen what happens when those hearings actually happen, and they usually result in transcripts that make the lawyers look like idiots. And so I don't know if that's what's gonna happen, but maybe tomorrow we'll find out with whatever is left of his legal team, and we're gonna have developments on who's being added to it. But people are apparently pulling the cord on their parachute, Jason.
As they should. This whole president temper tantrum about him wanting a recount, about the validity of the election, is like the best episode of House of Cards. The innuendo, just everything that's happening is so dramatic. You can't write this stuff, but John, it makes complete and total sense for his team, who are smart attorneys. These are like legal eagles, if you will, to realize that there is no base for this fight that the president wants to have happen. It makes no sense. Even someone who is not legally inclined, doesn't have a doctorate of jurisprudence, and isn't of that world, can really see just by following the news that this and being present in what's happened with the election and what's happening with politics in our country, knows that Trump, you lost, bro. I'm sorry. That's all that's all there is to it. And common sense will tell you that trying to, what's the word? Finagle your way into the White House now isn't a good look. And it's probably, out of everything in his 4 years that he's done that has been a bad look, this is the baddest of all the looks, if that makes sense.
Maybe the most pathetic, I think. And the thing is, like,
most pathetic. Yes, John. Thank you for getting me together on that. Absolutely, because he's done worse. I'm sorry, he's done worse things, but yes, for sure.
Yeah, he's done terrible stuff, swearing and everything. But anyway, so and the thing is, like, he can say, okay, we've got all these lawyers that we've pre-selected that we're gonna try to get to go around the country and do various things. And he can pay them hypothetically, although apparently not enough to keep them on more than a week or so. But he's not the one who has to go before a judge and try to make this case. He's not the one that has to figure out exactly words they could say and not say to make it seem like there's something up, so that Fox can talk about it and pretend that there's something to this, but not lie in a demonstrable way that could result in their, like, accreditation being stripped away. So they're the ones who are potentially risking something here, not really Donald Trump. Donald Trump has already lost. It's up to the lawyers to decide, do you want to potentially lose the equivalent of your election effectively? Yeah, and apparently some don't.
And John, they shouldn't though. I mean, in all seriousness, this is just unnecessary. This is the most unnecessary waste of people's time, of the media's time, of the American public's time. When this election has been, for some, an emotional thing, right? 2020 has been emotional one, and I keep using this word traumatic. And then the anxiety that people had leading up to the election, then the day of the election, going out to vote, et cetera, et cetera. Now to drag this on is just like, it's pouring salt into a wound that won't heal, that really wants to heal. So I don't blame these attorneys for being smart and saying this, you know what? Maybe 4 years ago, 2 years ago, sure, we may have wanted to play ball. Now we're choosing to sit this one out because self-preservation is paramount. It's of the utmost importance.
Yeah. Well, there are other lawyers that are trying to preserve themselves. Last Thursday, the law firm Porter, Wright, Morris, and Arthur also moved to withdraw from the same case in Pennsylvania. Which, that's, again, these are not big votes of confidence from these law firms that they're all trying to leave, and then a new group is brought in, and then they decide to leave, and then what does that leave you with? What that leaves you with is sort of scraping the bottom of the legal barrel. And they're doing that in 2 different forms. Both are funny. The second one's gonna be funnier, so stick around. But first, who do they have? Well, they have one lawyer, Mark Scaringi, who had said, by the way, on their program, they host like a podcast on iHeartRadio, back on November 7th said, at the end of the day, in my view, the litigation will not work. It will not reverse this election, which is an amazing position for that host of the show to take, and then to become a lawyer on that, because Scaringi is playing a key role in that litigation, representing the Trump campaign in Pennsylvania now. So from November 7th saying, nah, man, this isn't gonna reverse anything, to, oh, you're paying me? Oh, okay, well then let's reverse this thing.
Right, well,
now, but really fast, Jason, I wouldn't necessarily get your hopes up for much to come out of this, even with Scaringi now playing a part, considering that Scaringi also said, in my opinion, there really are no bombshells that are about to drop that will derail the Biden presidency, including these lawsuits, which I look forward to earning money in pursuing.
Hey, take care of number one, right? Sure, fine. You want some people, money is all that matters. If the Trump administration is willing to throw hundreds of thousands of dollars at someone for them to do their job, to try to win this, and the guy's like, I'll take the money, but I know in my heart of hearts, in my soul, that you're not gonna win this, fine, I'll play along. Yeah. But I think, John, it's very interesting though, when you have also conservative outlets that are like, President, it's kind of 45, it's time for a concession. Like, now you look ridiculous. Now you like all the memes about him whining with like a pacifier in his mouth, being spanked by his mom, being a bad boy. I
didn't see that.
There's so many. It's his legacy.
You gone to?
At Pornhub, just his legacy is being marred by this behavior where he could have just left quietly and tried to hold on to some kind of legacy with the presidency. He can't even go back to reality TV now, which I'm pretty sure he's going to try to do, or have his own network. But it's for someone as proud as Donald Trump is, I would imagine he'd want to retain some kind of dignity. And what he's doing now, trying to win this deal without a concession, is throwing that out the window faster than, I don't know, like a fart in the wind.
Yeah, which is pretty fast, admittedly. Especially in those gale force winds they get in Miami. Anyway, one other thing. So the whole Scaringi thing is pretty funny. And by the way, I'm sure that this lawyer, assuming that he doesn't like back out from the case in like 2 days like all the rest are, he'll be on Fox News, and he'll be pretending that there's something to it, and they'll ignore the comments he made before, because now he's with Trump, which means you're good. If you ever turn on Trump, it means you're bad. It doesn't matter what the facts are. He didn't immediately respond to a request for comment from the Post. So maybe there's something that changed his thinking before he launched into this case, probably the paycheck, but we don't know because he's not saying. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.